What's up, creatives, and welcome to another Romeo show. In today's show we are going to be drawing a plait and a flowing piece of hair in today's art tutorial. So what you're waiting for, folks, let's roll the intro. Everybody, how is everyone doing? Hope you've had a good week and a good weekend. If you're new to the show, my name is Romeo. I am a sketch artist and life coach, helping people to focus on their careers and helping people to move forward using art therapy drawings, which I do sometimes on a Tuesday, and my mandala drawings on a Wednesday. If you want to check out any of my drawings that I've been doing lately, you can check out that playlist just in the corner there. And then lately in this show here, I've been doing you guys some drawing tutorials, from drawing the eye drawing that we did a couple of weeks back, water droplet, and last week we did a fabric drawing. And today we are doing a hair tutorial. Now, there is a link, I'll put a link up the top there for drawing a curly piece of hair. I've done quite a few of those ones, but today we're going to be drawing a plait and a free-flowing piece of hair like this one here. This is a good one to do for when you are wanting to draw hair that's in a free-flowing form. It gets your hands and wrists warmed up. You know, you haven't got that stop and start type of flow to it. We're going to be concentrating a lot more of the darker areas, the lighter areas, using our graphite pencils, as well as doing this plait on the side here as well. It's a very simple process to do. So what are you waiting for, folks? So let's roll the video. Hello and welcome everyone to today's art sketching drawing tutorial. Today we are going to be drawing hair today. I'm going to start off with showing you guys how to draw a very basic plait using our graphite pencils. We're going to start off with just a plait. We are a very basic one. I'm still going to show you all the sketching techniques for it, you know, how to make it look quite realistic, but it's going to start off as a very basic drawing, and then we're going to draw a very simple, you know, freehand, free-flowing hair sketch as well, of just showing some amount of hair just coming off and showing you all the sketching techniques used for creating that one. The tools we're going to be using to do our outline, we're going to be using a 2H pencil, and to do our shading in the darker areas, medium tones, we're going to be using a 2B, and for the darker ones we're using an 8B pencil, using our pencil holder. And then for the finer, wispier hairs, we're going to be using a mechanical pencil. It's a great pencil to use for when drawing very fine bits of hair, to get those wispy hair because of the fine nib area of this pencil, and you don't have to constantly keep on sharpening it. When starting any of your drawings, make sure you do have some nice sharp pencils too. The erasers we are using is our mono eraser, the square eraser, and our kneadable eraser. We may not use all of these, but we've got them just in case we do need to use them. So they're the erasers we're using. And for our blending materials, we have our tissue, ordinary piece of tissue, blending stump. If you don't have a blending stump, you can use a piece of cotton. You can use cotton bud, and our dry brush. The dry brushes I use are synthetic dry brushes. They are very good to use to smooth out any lines, create any sort of filling in your shaded areas, and it gives it that nice soft approach to it. If you noticed in my video from last week doing the fabric, you can see how soft the dry brush does make your images. So we're going to start off with our 2H pencil, and we are going to be doing our plait first. So the first thing we're going to start off with, we're going to do is a zigzag shape first. This is going to be the center of the plait. So we're just going to draw this very simple zigzag shape. Using the 2H pencil, just so we're not using it, so we're going to go over these probably little bits with the darker pencil as well. I just want to get the base of it down first. Then we're going to create C shapes around the edges. So starting from each of the corners of each of the zigzag, moving it in a C shape like that. And then this one is going to approach this center piece like so. And we're just going to follow that that one to that one in another C shape. Just like that. We're going to follow that all the way down to the bottom. You can already see that it's forming a plait effect already. You can see that's already forming that plait shape. Just by doing that zigzag shape and then just putting those half circles in really does create that. So now we come to the base of it now. I'm just going to put another little line here. Follow that one through. And then just to do a small one here. And then we're going to just add a little band for the base of the plait. And then we're just going to do a kind of like a two little S type shapes for the end of the plait. There is our band. So there we have our basic shape of our plait. Now we're going to start filling it in. Just make that a little bit more. Now we're going to start filling it in now with our pencil. We're still using a 2H pencil, so we're going to get some nice. We're stuck. So in this area here is where your darker, where it's going to be coming round. We're going in a curve motion like this, and through the edges towards the center in these curve type motion towards the center. We're not going to fill in the center because we want a shine, a reflection shine, to be hitting the center. So I'm just demonstrating to you here how it's going to look. So these areas on the edges are going to be the most darkest point, getting towards the lighter area in the center. And we're going to start off from this top bit now. You can see that I'm following the curvature of the shape of how a plait would look, because a plait is not going to be a solid looking piece. It's going to be curved and round because you want to create the roundness, the opaqueness of the plait itself. I'm doing very gentle strokes, starting off quite hard from the edges, and then as I get to the center, I'm just trailing off so it becomes quite fine on the edges. Then we're going to come to this point. I'm going to go up in the opposite direction, and same here as well. Bringing it round and moving it up. Same here now. We're just going to keep on going in this type of motion. You see I'm doing it very sort of quickly. And then I'm going to go back over these lines with my 2B, and then just to make it a little bit more darker, we're going to go over it again with our 8B pencil. And at the end we'll do add a few little wispy little bits, because we don't want it to look too solid looking. We're just going to create a few little wispy bits with our mechanical pencils just through the edges, where, because you know sometimes when you do a plait, you're going to have a few of the little strands of hair, just to make it look that little bit more realistic. Still keeping to the curvature of the hair still. It's a great little exercise to do, just to get you sort of involved and to get you practiced in drawing hair. Also, it's great to do exercise as well for when you want to be creating any type of eyelashes or anything like that. Because of the motions of your hands doing that curvature shape to it. Where you're starting off from the base. So you don't want to press too hard with the base area of it. But just enough in there just so that you get a nice wispy flow. That's why we use the sharpness of our pencils. That's why it's always good to use sharp pencils as well, because it just helps to create that even strokes of hair rather than using with the pencils a little bit blunt. We're just coming to the base now of our plait. You can see, like I was saying at the beginning of the video, we're not going to go too far towards the centre because we want to create that realism where the light is going to be hitting it. And just through this base area. And then we have our band, which was just going to do some lines through the edges towards the centre. And then from the base, I say the base of it because that's where the base of the plait will be, towards the centre. Still keeping to the curvature. Now if you see what I'm doing now, I'm just moving with the flow of the line that I've already created on the outer line. So if you can imagine the outer lines that we've created, and as we come round, we start to go in the opposite direction and add those wisps, and then through the top, the bottom of our plait. You can see what I'm doing now. I'm just adding a few little sort of strands just on the edges, just so that it gives it that not so much of a perfect lined area. But I'll do a little bit more of that when with my mechanical pencil. Still keeping to it so it's got that little bit of a reflective shine in the centre and just through the edges there. So that's just the base of it done. All that was done using our 2H pencil. Now we're going to go back over it with our, we're going to do first now though, before we go over it with our 2B pencil, I'm just going to, using my blending stump, just going to smooth out some of them lines. Just so that we get a bit of a softness to the lines that we've created, and it gives it that bit more depth to the plait. Doesn't matter if you've not done all of the lines in there, because we're going to go back over it again with the 2B. How did you guys get? I hope you guys got on well with the fabric drawing we did last week. Funny thing is, when I finished that drawing, it actually did look like a piece of scrunched up paper rather than a fabric piece. But let me know in the comments below on how you got on, if you did attempt to draw that one, or the eye drawing that we did a couple of weeks back, or even the water droplet that we've done. So we've done quite a few how to draw videos on this series so far. If you are attempting them and drawing them, you know, I would like to see the images that you guys have done. And you can see by using the blending stump, it really sort of gives it that blend, and adds that little bit more darker edges and fills in any gaps that we may have sort of missed out on when making our hair strands. You want to go back, monkey? Yeah, okay. There you go. So I was letting out the monkey then. Right, now we're going to go back with our 2B pencil now. So we've got our 2B, we're going to start making those lines that we've already created. Just going to go back over them and make them that little bit more darker. Still going with the flow. The 2B may be just quite sufficient enough for this tutorial anyway. But sometimes when you're doing a sort of sketch, you're going to want to sometimes create a little bit more depth to it. So by using the 8B pencil, really sort of makes your drawings pop that little bit more. It's kind of like a tick type of motion. And just through that zigzag area that we created, I'm just going to, at the end probably, or while I'm doing this as well, I will make it a little bit more darker, because that's where the darker edge of it would be as well. Still following the curvature of the hair. It's always important when creating anything like this that you follow the curvature of anything that you're drawing. If it's a round surface, try as much as you can to create a curvature of that actual image. And I'm going to put a few stray ones just for, we don't want to make it to look too stop and start with the shine. We just want to sort of carry them through a little bit as well. So you're going to have a few longer lines in there as well, just to give it that little bit more extra realism to it. It's coming along quite nicely now. I'm still keeping that reflective shine in the centre, even though I'm creating a few longer pieces in there, but I don't want it to be, don't want to fill up the whole of the line. I might add a few sort of lighter lines in there at the end. We'll see how we go with that. And once we have done it with our 2B pencil, might just add a few little touch-ups with the 8B as well, just so we've got some variations of different shades in there, because we've got a lighter one, we've got the darker one, and we may want to add a few other darker ones in there as well. You can see where I'm just still creating that curve with the hair strokes, but it's not going so round, or I'm not going exactly through, creating, still keeping to that shine in the centre. You can see how easy we started this drawing off as well. We just created that little zigzag in the centre, and we just started to fill it in. Some people find it quite hard to draw a plait, and that's probably the easiest possible way of drawing one. This is what I've always said about the drawing side to it. It's all about building up your layers for your drawings as well. You don't want to go straight in with a dark pencil, because you want to create that type of realism to your artwork. So by using the different variations of pencils, it just gives it that little bit more depth and realism to it. But also as well, it's vital to always have a sharp pencil when creating any of your drawings. I've been uploading some more videos onto my TikTok as well, some more doodle drawings using the Posca pens. If you checked out my Mandala drawing that I did last week as well, I did a full Mandala drawing, and that was the using the gold and the silver Posca pens. They're great pens to use, they are. I've seen some other pens, I've seen like these Copic markers as well to use, but they're like 70 odd quid for those as well, so I'm not going to be getting those ones just yet. But yeah, no, there's sort of pens I do want to sort of check out as well, I want to try them out. But I've only just started to use pens, so I don't want to be forking out so much money for them just yet if it's something I'm not going to carry on using. But it is probably will be. I will get them at some point as well. And I'm just adding a few of the darker lines in there now as well, just on the edges of it. So we have a few sort of stray hairs. Now with our blending stump, I'm going to go back over it now. And just like how we were using the pencil, in that tick form of motion, I was going to blend some of those lines in. I'm just going to smudge that edge area where the zigzag is. You'll automatically see that your lines become that little bit more softer when you're using your blending stump or cotton bud. And like I was saying as well, it just helps to fill out any gaps, especially through the base areas of where the zigzag is as well. It doesn't matter if you come over the edges with it as well, because we're going to add a few stray hairs, and it also gives us that little bit more realism to your work. And I'll just go through some of that center area with the blending stump as well. Because we still want to shine in there, but we also want to add a little bit of depth to it too. Just go over some of those areas on the edges that we've created. Just making it a little bit more darker for where the band will be hitting, and it will be holding into that hair, so it's a little bit more darker through there, and gradually getting lighter towards the centre. So we've pretty much got the base of our plait done now. It's looking quite realistic now, and you can see that we just started off with just that little zigzag. Now you can sort of just go over the crease areas where you know it's going to be that little bit more darker. And now with our mechanical pencil, we're just going to go around through the edges. Just a few little wispy little bits sort of coming out, a few little stray hairs. Especially around the edge area of the plait itself, where you will get a few little bits of hair where the hair is going to be coming out from it. Very gently drawing these lines though. Just so that gives that little bit more realism to it. A few little bits just coming out from the corners. And then we have our plait. That's our plait done. Now what we're going to do is just going to draw a freehand, just a very basic flow of hair. So we're just going to start off with just the outside of the hair. So we're just going to do something very sort of gently. Something like that. This is completely off the cuff, this is. Just to demonstrate some flowing hair. You want to be very sort of gentle with this type of hair drawing you do. This could be like, you know, the side of someone's hair. someone with sort of wavy hair, that sort of thing. And I'm basically just creating some very gentle strokes all the way, and then in that a few little S shapes in there as well. Fill up as much of it with it, and then through there then I will add a few highlighted areas to create that little bit of a shine. So this is going to be the base part of the hair, following to the ends. So here it's going to be that little bit more darker, and it's just going to trail off. Probably get a little bit more lighter towards the centre area there, because I've created it so it's a little bit more rounder. And you can see I'm just building up strokes in different directions. Using very much gentle strokes. Now, probably with a dry brush, smooth out some of them lines. Now I'm using the dry brush on this part because I want to spread as much of that graphite around without damaging the paper too much. It wasn't a small area like we was using here. Smooth out as much of that line, spread as much of that graphite around as possible. Now with our 2B, add a few of the darker strokes in. You'll see this now. You see now the difference that it will start to create when you've now got the lighter area, the lighter hair and the darker strands start to mix in. Now probably with this one, probably will use the 2B pencil as well, because we're not concentrating on such a small area. So where the base area of it is, it's going to be that little bit more darker in the edges, trailing off to a few lighter bits. I'm keeping my hand very loose, really creating that flow, following any of the shapes that we've got, maybe going in the opposite directions with a few of them as well. Don't have to rush this one as well, don't rush any of the work, because obviously hair's not going to be a solid piece, so you want to create a few little stray ones, a few sort of ones going in the opposite direction as well, and maybe just build up a few in a few sort of, so you're going over the same same section, so you have a little bit of diversity in there as well with the hair. That's what's going to create that realistic look. If you can see now what I'm doing now, I'm just creating, going over the same few sections. I'm just making up a few strands, kind of a few bits of hair coming in from this point. You've got another bit of hair here, there as well. We can make those a little bit darker. This bit here could be darker as well through that area. Still keeping to it darker coming from the root area here. And this is what's going to define the hair to give it that bit more of a realistic look. The more you start to build up on it, the more you'll start to see a hair image forming. Now with our dry brush, just smooth some of those areas out now. And just to smooth it out a little bit more, I'll probably go over a few little of the areas with the blending stump. Now you can see the difference using the blending stump does now. It brings it out that little bit more, gives you that more of a coverage. It's not so much of a soft blend like the dry brush does. We may make that a little bit more darker through there, because it's going to be where this point of the hair comes round. It's going to be a little bit more darker through there. Now this is completely, like I was saying, this is completely just freehand drawing. This was of hair. I wasn't looking at a reference sheet. If you are to draw hair, you know, it's always good just to have a little bit of a reference sheet, so you've got something to go by. I've drawn hair so many times now, and obviously work with a lot of hair as well, so I can see how it's going to flow and how it's going to look. I've done hair now for the last 25, well, not drawn hair, but I've cut and styled hair for the last 25 years now, so it's I should know how it looks and how it flows. Now with our, actually going to go back with our 2B pencil and just make this area that little bit more darker. just like how we did with the Plait. Just so you've got a bit of variation in there now. Once we've done that, got our 8B pencil, some more finer strokes. Now using the 8B pencil now, you'll start to see it come to life that a little bit more now as well, because you've added that darker pencil in there now, and it's going to give that bit more depth, and the contrast you're going to get now from medium light pencil, medium pencil, it's going to get that little bit more realistic approach to it and look to it. Now with the mono eraser, I'll probably go over a few little lighter areas as well, just to break it up, and then you'll start to see it come to life a little bit more. You can see that I'm just doing some very big strokes in there. I can sort of blend it through now with the blending stump. Same process with the pencils. It's not like a stop and start. I'm carrying the flow, following the hair with the blending stump. When I say mini stop and start, I'm not doing that. Yeah, I'm just carrying it all the way through, even the smaller areas as well. Now with the mono eraser, just add a few lines in there to represent some highlighted hair areas, and it breaks up a lot of the pencil lines as well. And I'm using the same technique that I did with the pencils, not a stop and start way I'm doing it. I'm very much going with the flow. Now our dry brush, that's going to sort of smooth some of those areas over. Also, by doing it with the eraser as well, you'll pick up other hidden little clumps of hair that you've created just by free flowing. I mean, this is a great exercise as well, just to get to the, you know, even if you haven't got a reference sheet as well, you know, just create how we started off with just a basic shape, and it gets you into the flow of creating hair, you know, and getting your hands and sort of wrists sort of warmed up when drawing hair as well, because you want to create that flowed image. So I'm just going to sort of darken some of these areas here, because this is where the darker part of the hair would be. I'm going to go back over this again with the 2B, with the 8B, especially those darker areas that now that we've created, so it adds that little bit more depth. And any of these sort of ones that you get where you've added the mono eraser to it, try not to go over the lines that you've created with the mono eraser. Try and go on the edges of the erased area, because that's what's going to make the image pop that little bit more. So what I'm always saying about trying to keep your work clean, but also as well your work will pop a lot more with the darker you can make the darker areas, and the lighter areas you can make as light as possible. Now with the 2B as well, just to add a few more definition to it. So now we have a variation. If you notice, I constantly kept a flow going. It was S shapes, backward S shapes, because hair's going to flow in that type of manner. Back with our mono eraser again. That's why I love using these mono erasers, because they really do make your work stand out that little bit more, they do. And where we've been going with the flow of the hair, especially around these sort of areas, it's always good just to come round with a few in the opposite direction as well, just so that it gives that little bit more of a realistic feel to it. You can see now I'm just going in a crisscross type of manner. Break up this line, because the hair's not going to be exactly set, especially when it's flowing like this as well. You're going to have a few strays moving in opposite directions. Just the odd one or two, you don't have to go too crazy with it, just to finish it off. So this was just a good exercise just to get you into the motion of creating big clumps of hair. Get your hands sort of warmed up when sort of drawing flowing hair. You can see I'm constantly changing, like I was doing last week with the fabric. I was constantly moving back and forwards with, there's no sort of set way that you've got to do it like this. You know, once you've used the blending stump, don't use it again. You know, just keep using your tools until you get the desired effect that you're looking for. See now that I'm starting to blend in those darker areas. And there we have it, guys. Let me know how you got on with this one as well, this in today's drawing hair tutorial, if you attempted to draw this one as well. It was just a way of just really sort of getting yourselves warmed up in drawing hair, you know, getting used to drawing hair, that flow type of motion with it, and creating the darker, lighter, whiter areas and blending stump to blend it all in, so you've got some nice flowed looking hair. So I'm just going to get rid of some of these bits here. There we have it, guys. So we had our plait drawing and just some flowing hair to get us warmed up in drawing hair, you know, so you got those, all that flowing motion of it, gets you used to not creating some harsh lines like that. You know, you really want to sort of create very gentle, wispy lines when creating your hair. So here we have it. We have our plait and we have our clump piece of hair there, just to get you sort of warmed up in drawing hair. Next week we'll do another hair tutorial, probably, or we will go for a fabric one. We'll start moving on slowly onto sort of skin texture and hands and things like that as well. But that's today's tutorial done. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to pop that there. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. Thank you. And how was that video for you guys? Hope you enjoyed that video. Give us a like if you enjoyed that, and if you've got any comments, if you've got any comments or anything else that you'd like me to draw, hit them up in the comments below, and I will surely get back to you and draw and create a video based on any of those drawings, that any of those art tutorials that you are stuck on, whether it's still drawing water, eyes, lips, or anything like that. Next week's show will be either another hair drawing, or I may start going on to drawing lips, but we're also going to be doing some skin textures as well. And that's the end of the show, folks. Thank you all again for watching. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, click that bell, and turn on notifications so you know when I upload a new video. My name is Romeo. This is Romeo Sketches, signing off. Peace out.